That's another thing. Put it on the list. What's today? 23rd. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this regular planning board meeting on October 23rd, 2025. Will everybody please rise if you may, if you can, and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll and read the Open Public Meetings Act?
Yes. Mrs. Parker, Mr. Katzef, Mr. Lilly.
Here.
Mr. Heinman, Mr. Kamudi, Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Here.
Township Manager O'Sullivan.
Here.
Mayor Tamburo.
Here.
Vice Chair Fresky.
Here.
Chair Pearson.
Here.
Board Attorney Massara.
Here.
And Ms. Misha's here. Okay. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township of Verona Planning Board, which is being held in person in the ballroom of the Verona Community Center located at 880 Bloomfield Avenue, Verona. The time and date of this meeting were included in the annual meeting notice posted in the Community Center and sent to the official newspaper of the Township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time. All meetings are recorded. Those wishing to speak during any public comment period should only provide their name and municipality. Street addresses are not required. Please be advised that should a member of the public choose to state their street address, it will not be redacted from this recording.
Thank you. That said, does anybody from the public have any public comments or questions that are not on this evening's agenda? If so, please come to the mic. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public participation. We can move on to approval of meeting minutes. Has everybody received and had an opportunity to review? Does anybody want to move? Or
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Mr. Fresky makes the motion. I'll second. All members that were at the last meeting, just raise your hand to vote yes. Mayor Tamburo, you are abstaining, and manager is going to also abstain. Everybody else votes aye. Resolutions. Resolution 2025-11 is a memorialization of Planning Board Application 2502, 1 Wedgewood Drive, Block 1712, Lot 1, Zone A1. Approval to remove 16 trees with conditions of revised replacement plan and required mitigation. Has everybody had a chance to review that? Are there any questions on that? You were also given a revised tree replacement plan a few moments ago. Any questions on that? All right, then I am interested in a motion to approve this for anybody that was at the meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Vice Chair Fresky makes the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Lilly seconds. I heard him first. Can you do a roll call vote? I'm sorry.
Let me see. Mr. Lilly,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fresky,
Yes.
Chair Pearson.
Yes. The motion passes. The next thing on the agenda is a consistency determination. This is based off of Township Council Ordinance Number 2025-17, ordinance adopting the redevelopment plan for 383 Bloomfield Avenue redevelopment area. And I believe it is our task tonight to decide whether there are inconsistencies with our master plan or there are no inconsistencies with our master plan. So at this time, we're going to turn the meeting over to San Siobhan of H2M, and she's going to walk us through. Greg, do you have a swearing in of some sort?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do, yes.
Stand for the record, could you state your name and...
Certainly. My name is Sanagita Chavan, San for short. I work at H2M, and I've been appointed as the township planner. I've prepared your master plan in 2022. So technical glitches, but I believe everybody has a hard copy of my presentation. So let's go through it. So the first slide, what I was going to talk about is really the redevelopment process as per the local redevelopment and housing law, LRHL. The first step is the council authorizes the planning board by resolution to conduct an area in need of redevelopment study for specific properties, which was this one. By statute, that role is given to the planning board. We conducted a study. I think it was early this year. We held a duly noticed public hearing, and you, as the planning board, found that it met the criteria for redevelopment, and that was then forwarded to the municipal council. Now, the municipal council would typically, by statute, either accepts your recommendation and designates the areas in need of redevelopment, which in this case they did. And if you recall, in 2024, the entirety of Bloomfield Avenue corridor was designated as area in need of rehabilitation. So what this designation, which was earlier this year through 2025-049, that's a resolution that the governing body adopted, it authorized the preparation of the redevelopment plan, which they then authorized me to prepare. And although it's called redevelopment plan, and you guys have done this in the past, but I just want to refresh everybody's memory, especially if there are members who are attending virtually. So it's always called a redevelopment plan. It's actually introduced with an ordinance. And the municipal council a few weeks ago introduced that at their workshop session. And the role of the planning board is advisory as per the statutes. And you basically check for consistency with the master plan. But I have a PowerPoint presentation just to give you an overview of what this constitutes, and then based on your recommendations, then the municipal council will adopt the redevelopment plan or may amend or revise any portion. So basically, this is how we typically have ordinances, right? Then the future steps would be that they select or designate a redeveloper, negotiate a redevelopment agreement. Now, your role would be, once all of that is done and the project is ready to be built, they will come to you for a site plan review. So, so that's the redevelopment process. As you know, I don't need to go through the three-step process, but basically the first one was the preparation of the redevelopment study, which we did, and we established that as an area in need of redevelopment, which the governing body then designated on February 3rd, 2025. It's important to note that this redevelopment does not, there's no eminent domain. So there is no taking of the property. The property owners will fully participating in the process. The step The second step is where we are now, which is the preparation and adoption of the redevelopment plan. And then the third step typically, going forward with the redevelopment agreement, implementing the plan, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the statutes, which are the LRHL 48, colon 12A-7, sets forth planning, what constitutes a redevelopment plan. And if you look at this document, which is like 45 pages, it follows the statutes throughout. So basically, you talk about the plan's relationship with the goals, local goals, and objectives regarding land uses, density, transportation, etc. There's description and analysis of concept plans, as in proposed land uses, building requirements, which are very typical to an ordinance. It also talks about the relationship to the development regulations of the municipality and relationships to master plan of contiguous municipalities, if it's relevant. And then it sets forth the procedures for amending the plan, which is typically, again, under the purview of, yes, ma'am.
Can you just post on the record that Mr. Heineman is here? I just don't, oh, thank you so much. I'm sorry, Sam. I didn't want to interrupt.
That's fine. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you look at the redevelopment and rehabilitation area, this particular site, which is located at the corner of Park and Bloomfield, was a part of the rehabilitation designation. The entirety of Bloomfield corridor was a rehab area, and then, in January of this year, I'd done a presentation, and the planning board found that it met the statutory criteria for area in need of redevelopment. Now, any redevelopment plan needs to, I'm not going too fast, am I? Okay. No. Any redevelopment plan needs to have a vision, and this particular redevelopment plan is similar, where it promotes investment and economic vitality by encouraging mixed-use commercial and residential development. And we had identified in many places in the land use plan, our 22 master plan, about revitalizing Bloomfield. It's required, another vision is enhancing and maintaining the character of the township. So it's basically taking a site that is obsolete and incorporating contemporary planning and design principles. It's improving because it's utilizing sustainable development principles, especially stormwater management, which currently does not exist, and and the plan will sets forth proactive steps in that direction. And it also will, importantly, as everybody knows, we have these affordable housing mandates on us. So this plan will provide a range of market rate and affordable housing options that will meet the township's current and future need. And again, an obsolete and underutilized area will get revitalized. And what's important is it will continue to create walkability and public transit use and try to minimize vehicular dependency. So the plan outline, we introduced the plan, we examined the existing conditions. For the new plan, we set forth definitions, so it's more clear. Things that are not covered in Chapter 150 gets covered here. Use and bulk regulations, which are specific for that site as per the redevelopment statutory requirements. We put in building and site design. We examined the consistency with our master plan, and then how we could implement it. And as you know, that particular site is in the ETC zone. It's surrounded by multifamily, single family, and commercial uses. And so basically the next two slides just talk about that. And then I put forth a slide which talks about the use and bulk standards. So what this particular property will be doing is providing mixed use. So the dwelling units will not be on the ground floor or the first floor, it will be above. And we set forth different kind of uses like art gallery, studio, art, basically wider variety of permitted uses, which will enable that site to be developed. We also set forth bulk. The site is 1.26 acres, so it's over an acre. So we set forth lot area standards, setback requirements to activate Bloomfield Avenue corridor, and also set forth height standards, which are pretty much comparable to what's currently existing in the ETC zone. But we kind of like specified exactly things like, you don't want to have massing, so we recommended stepping back to create that, softening the space with landscaping. And we've actually included examples of the concepts in the plan. And it's also important, so when you talk about design standards, under conventional zoning, design standards are not as enforceable as they are in a redevelopment plan. And we want to ensure that we get a quality development which is in accordance with what we had mentioned in the master plan of having revitalizing our Bloomfield Avenue corridor. So to that end, we put in building and unit design standards, also standards for providing affordable housing, because this particular property is a part of our affordable housing plan, and it's important. We set parking standards, on-site pedestrian requirements, and also currently the barn building is very attractive, but if you walk the property, you know that it leaves a lot to be desired. So any kind of redevelopment will have signage and awning standards. So we tried to put in everything to beautify the area. And then we also put in architectural and residential standards regarding, the dwelling unit mix, which has to be in compliance with the Uniform Housing Affordability Control Act, so the UHAC regs. We don't have a lighting ordinance, so we put in lighting standards here, specified the building materials, specified the buffers, and facade design standards, fenestration, which are windows, etc., etc. And then, most importantly, we have, compared to other municipalities, Verona, given the impervious surface coverage in the town, has very stringent stormwater management regulations that everybody on the planning board worked really hard. So we have very clearly maintained that any kind of redevelopment should meet the township's stormwater management requirements. And we also set forth sustainability standards for landscaping, water management, energy efficiency, etc., etc. And then finally, this plan is consistent to Verona's master plan. It forwards its goals and forwards its many goals and objectives, which I've actually written in the plan. And if you'd like me to put that on record, I can, but for your reference, it's on page 15. It forwards our land use goal about promoting growth in appropriate area, land use objective number 5C, utilizing redevelopment designations where appropriate to provide greater commercial and housing options. Objective 5F, which is to guide future development and or redevelopment of land within the township so as to incorporate new construction without undue disruption to the existing character. And number 7, to ensure zoning districts regulations and land uses align with the township's development goals, to incentivize improvements along the Bloomfield Avenue corridor, which is the land use objective 7A. And then we also looked at a few economic development goals and objectives where, as per goal number 1, this development will continue to ensure Bloomfield Avenue is a vibrant and attractive downtown, to utilize incentives for infill development and redevelopment, and to maintain attractive and thriving business and commercial districts. So all in all, it's my professional opinion, I've authored this plan, that it is consistent with our master plan, and this is it from me, and I'm ready to take questions from all of you, and thank you so much for listening.
Go ahead, Jay.
I've got a lot of questions. I don't know how you want to do it. You want to do it by section and we all
Why don't you
speak,
go?
or just
Why
run
don't you
through
just
my
go,
comments
you
and
might
questions
cover
from the
ours.
board? Okay. So thank you, San. As always, very comprehensive. Appreciate the work you put into this. So I just want to run through the report with some of my comments first. Just first page revisions to the planning board membership, since that's changed since you probably started.
I know.
The plan.
I did
Next,
dedicate it
yeah.
to Doc, but I'll make that, yeah.
Looking at the bulk regulations,
What page, please?
sorry,
It's okay.
21,
Okay.
starting with that table. Question on the height, I see there's that asterisk. Is the intent that the 4 stories is the max measured from, I guess, the lowest grade as it slopes
Correct.
down?
That's
Okay. And it's not based on average grade, so it's from Bloomfield Ave, it's 3 stories.
It'll look 3
And then
stories,
slope,
and whatever is visible will be set back.
Okay.
And I also, just to make it clearer, included an image too. So
Mhm.
one of the things I want everybody on the board to understand, that this process has been vetted extensively with the developer. I think our administrator and myself have worked very hard to come up with the plan with them. So it is written by us, and they and we worked on this very, very hard.
Right, right. So I guess that goes to the next question, which
Sure.
will kind of inform my comments on more specific things. But, how far along are they in terms of the concept and the engineering for that concept? Because I did see some of, the architectural elevations in the plan. Is that pretty much fixed? It's going to be one building?
That is
Or,
correct.
okay.
It
So-
won't change. And
So we're not changing anything with respect to permitting more than one principal building. For example, if there was some sort of intent to preserve the Hillcrest Farms, retail, that's off the table.
I think the only thing they're going to keep is the sign.
Okay.
Keep us posted on page.
Still on that same page, we go down to affordable housing. That it just references the housing element and fair share plan. Any reason why we're not just putting those proposed standards into the plan?
I think, as you know, we are in discussion with fair share housing, in discussion with interveners, in discussion with so many people. It just makes sense to go by whatever, I don't think this plan is going to change.
Okay.
And I just noticed, I apologize, I noticed a typo. It should be 1150. I haven't added 0, which I'm going to remove. I just realized it. So everything, I need to get my eyes checked. But so that was one of the reasons. But we're very clear that this will generate 5 affordable units, of which there'll be 1 3-bedroom, which will be family,
Right.
the rest is special needs. And we had the discussion with the developer as well as our planner, our affordable housing planner, to ensure that it's will get credits and everything is, acceptable.
Right, right. So my question is, if it's going to be based off of whatever we're relying in the housing element, does that mean the affordable housing set aside is going to be a fixed number or a percentage? Just in the, I don't see the plan reducing the units from the max density permitted, but what if something happens down the road and it gets scaled down and now we're short units?
If should they have to scale down, I don't believe that's the case in, so it is 15% of the total number of units, which gives that 5.
Mhm.
Now, here's the thing, somewhere down the line, if something changes, you know this, you do this, they have to amend the plan. But as of now, the intent, and we ensure that they continue to do that. So, am I answering you?
Yeah, you're answering my question. I think one of my recommendations would be to consider putting a fixed number if we're relying on getting 5 units, let's have a fixed number. So even if they scale it down and then that, the 15% set aside gets scaled down, no, you still have to get the 5 units.
So just to that, in addition to his statement, is it 5 units or 5 credits?
5 credits.
So how many units is it? Is it
So
3?
it's, there's 1 family unit, okay? There's 1 2-bedroom, which will give 2 credits. There's another 2-bedroom, which will give 2.
So it's actually 3 units with 5 credits?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay, just so that you know, it's really only 3 units,
Right.
but it's the
5
credits.
credits.
Okay,
So
because 2 are special needs,
that is correct.
and so they give an extra full
Yeah.
credit.
Yep.
And do we get anything for being along a bus line?
Oh, absolutely.
So how many
there are-
credits do we get
But
on
you
this?
can't double up the credit once you
No,
get
no, you can't double, but there is a 0.5, right? So, and that is, I don't know on the top of my head, but I do remember reading our housing plan element and fair share plan, where our planner has considered the revamp and credits. Does that answer your question, Mr.
Yeah.
Harmon? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
This isn't really in the plan, but I'm kind of referring to page 23 when we talk about the pedestrian requirements. I would like to see cycling micro-mobility requirements.
Okay.
For example, publicly accessible bike racks.
Okay.
And some provisions for bike storage and e-bike storage, so that if there is something in there,
Okay.
it's in a location that is I guess as safe, practical, but as safe as possible from a fire prevention standpoint. We want it accessible. We don't want it, tucked away in the building so that if there is a charging fire or something like that.
Would it be, from your perspective, acceptable? Sorry, would it be acceptable if, because I know that they have parking outside. Would it be acceptable if it was somehow included but shielded in, under the building parking area?
Yeah, that's fine. If there is internal parking or something, that's fine.
I'm
yeah.
just looking for an easy answer.
Yeah, I don't want it to
disagree.
be completely omitted, and then
Right.
we get the site plan,
Okay.
and it's, we didn't think about
I think it's a good
bike
suggestion.
storage.
I can suggest, but what I would also say that, I typically do write about bike storage and all that. In this case, I did not write. The reason why I did not write is that, say, Princeton or Morristown, towns that are very heavy into bike riding. I've noticed in a few of my redevelopment plans when I wrote this, it's there, but at the site plan, they always ask for waivers. So that's why I did not write.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I am a biker myself, as you know, so.
That's fine. I'd like
yeah.
to see it in the plan, and if they need a
Okay.
waiver, they can ask for a waiver.
Okay.
But I would like the presumption that we are providing for that.
Okay, no problem. What page?
I'm not using,
Still, I guess still on that same, in terms of on-site pedestrian requirements, I couldn't tell from the renderings because there were a lot of storefronts, but I would like there to be some sort of recommendation that the residential main entrance would be fronting Bloomfield Ave, so we have that downtown connection.
I think it does.
It does, okay.
Yeah. And I can show you the rendering. So if you look on page 28, and you go from left to right, the third door is the residential door.
Mhm.
So there is entrance from that.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell if those were just storefront entrances or
Yeah,
if that was the main. Okay.
Because I know, I had a feeling that their professionals would just get mad at me the last time.
Right. So looking at 5.4 facades, we have a lot of renderings, we have the architectural elevations. I mean, I would just recommend putting some captions on there and then tying,
Okay.
when you have the descriptions, tying it into like, per figure 1 or figure 2.
Okay.
Just so when we're reviewing it, if anything changes in the site plan, we have something to refer back to and say, well, this is kind of
you're
the
looking for
concept.
labels.
Yeah, I'm labels.
Give us an idea of.
Exactly, to show what elements are being required as part of this plan.
Sure.
And you're talking facade.
With the facade, yeah,
Stone,
right.
Metal.
Well, and also just the articulation, the different architectural elements that, we're articulating
So this
here.
isn't a site plan, this is.
I know, but the site plan can change. They could have a different architectural vision, and then all of a sudden we're comparing it to this plan. It's, oh, well, those are just pictures.
Yeah, okay.
That's not,
But I can promise you the way we discussed, Mr. O'Sullivan and myself,
Mhm.
I would find it very difficult I would be shocked if they changed it.
Right, I want to make
I
it
get
clear
it.
that
Yeah.
what we're approving in the plan, this is generally what we're going to expect.
And I know what it is. I could do that perspective at the corner of whatever Park and Bloomfield. I could say west elevation or side elevation as seen from Park. So that way, when they do bring the site plan, it will be easy for you to.
Or if they have a more engineered concept that we want to attach to the plan and have a reference to say, it's going to be materially consistent with this plan, subject to the language of the redevelopment plan,
I think
I'd be fine with that.
I think that, because our internet is not working, but there was a floor plan where that was very conceptual.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure if I want to include it right
Okay.
now. I really wanted, and typically when I have written other redevelopment plans, I don't include floor plans as much as I include elevations.
Right.
Because the internal changes could happen.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the floor, I'm talking about
The site plan.
site plan and then architectural concepts. And
So
say,
these
hey,
are-
this is what we are approving. If there's a difference between what's here in the concept and the language of the plan with respect to the specific bulk regulations, the text of the plan controls, but I want it to come into the site plan phase
Yeah.
being very, very sure that it's consistent with what we've already seen and approved, so
Okay.
that we're not in a Spectrum 360 situation where this is dragging out.
I'm sorry, what?
So we're not in a Spectrum 360 situation
Okay.
where it's dragging out for
Let
a
me-
long time.
Let me, see if I can,
Mhm.
yeah, go ahead.
Can I make a suggestion? Or a couple of suggestions? I mean, to definitely accommodate the board and to accommodate all of our hopes that basically the picture that we see here
Yep.
is what we end up getting because it's stunning, you know, and it would fit right in. I will suggest that we have a site plan review committee meeting to basically suss out some of the work that will be proposed and promoted to the planning board at some point, or the council at some point, in order to basically do the legwork on this before the plans come forth, before they move forward, so that all of that is kind of worked through before the hearings begin. Is that something that can be done? Sure. We've never used our site plan review committee. And I've been on this board since 2018, and I've never been to a meeting, but would you be receptive to that?
Yeah, that would be fine. I do like the idea of having as much detail in the redevelopment plan as possible, because it's not a zoning overlay. It's not just a general zoning ordinance. We can be very specific here, so I'd like it to be
I agree, but I
as
don't
tailored as
know,
possible.
I don't think we're going to get
Yeah.
that this evening.
Well,
The
doesn't have to be this-
pictures.
doesn't
and
have to be this evening, but I don't know how far along the developer is.
I don't believe they have
So-
their site plan ready.
Okay.
I think, typically, in my opinion, respectfully, when I write plans or I've seen plans written by others, the emphasis is more upon how the building is going to look, right? Internally, those engineered plans I don't think it'll change drastically, but no one prepares it so soon in the game. Like when we draw our site plans for the private development, until everything is approved, we don't prepare it. So I didn't receive any, and the concepts I received, I have basically gone through numerous iterations. So what I know, this is final, is presented now.
Okay. And then my last point is on the stormwater. I saw it just kind of generally refers
What
to.
page?
37
Yeah.
of the whole
7.2.
thing, but page 30,
5.10?
yeah.
Yeah. And again, this goes to how far along the developer is with their engineering. To the extent that there are specific mechanisms that they plan on using that have kind of already been vetted and we are fine with, I'd like to see it in the plan, so that again, we don't have a Spectrum 360 where they say, hey, we're gonna comply with your stormwater management regulation, no problem, and then they get here and they can't, and they're asking for waivers because when they did the borings, they realized, oh, well, water can't percolate here. So to the extent that the developer has an idea of the direction they want to go, I'd like to have it specified in the plan so that it's not a surprise, so that it's not, oh, well, we thought we could comply and now we can't. If we have an opportunity to supersede those general regulations, let's do it here instead of having to go through the
It's
waiver.
not the general regulations, it's Verona's zoning code regulations, which supersede, which are much more strict than the state's.
So I can tell you this, that again, at this stage, I don't believe they have it.
Okay.
But we had very clearly said to them that you need to comply with Verona's, and the fact that Verona's is more stringent than this.
Exactly, and I get that, but
Right. And
when the rubber hits the road and then they realize, oh, well, we can't comply with Verona's strict code, I'd like to know sooner rather than second hearing
we
in.
were told that they will be in compliance, that's the intent. And typically, I'm always wary when people say this, but this particular group has been so very, very forthcoming, conscientious, and really, dedicated in making this a landmark building. And in fact, your town manager and myself have used that as a template to others. Like, you want to do this, follow this. So, what's the next?
That's it.
That's it?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Trustee. Any questions?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Manager Sullivan.
I don't have any questions.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Just a quick question. In these renderings, we're seeing some trees and some greenery on the roof. It looks to me like it's just in the Park Avenue, Bloomfield Avenue corner. It's not the entire roof.
No, actually, if you look on page 26, they are proposing these trees along every terrace. So if you go all the way to the left, there's a terrace on the third floor. They're proposing landscaping there. If you look at that, it's along above the stores as you go towards Park, and then as you go along Park Avenue, there's on that second floor terrace as well as the third floor terrace.
But the rooftop terrace that people can utilize is just on the front corner there, correct? It's not the entire roof behind.
I don't believe so, but again, I would have taken a look at it, but this is, it's not working, I'm sorry. But I don't believe we received, let me ask you this, Deputy Mayor, do you have any specific standard that you would like us to put that?
From the looks of this, it looks like it's on the Bloomfield Park corner. And there's, if you go all the way to the beginning of your presentation on that building, go back. It doesn't look like it's on the east side, because it looks like that floor, the apartments are raised above there. So my reason for asking that is because we have residential apartments on that side, and obviously if someone's up there a little bit later and a radio on, it wouldn't disturb the other people on the other side.
I see. I think, would you, let me think about this then, maybe like have some standard written about, basically stipulating that the use of the terrace shall not be, shall be until 9 p.m. or something.
I don't think we have to do that. I think if the terrace is just isolated on the Bloomfield Avenue Park side, Park Street, I think it would be okay.
Okay.
Because again, looking at the rendering, it doesn't look like it goes over because it's on that third floor. So it's, a lot of that third floor are the apartments. I just want to make sure about it. It's page, on 29 you have the picture. Sorry. But it's something to determine because you're looking upward. I just want to make sure there's no, it's not, basically the roof terrace is not the entire.
No, it's not. On page 28, it shows it's not.
Okay.
Mayor?
No questions. The council's had an opportunity to review, so I'm satisfied.
I just have one question regarding parking spots created on Bloomfield Avenue. Can you explain that?
Sure. So, as you know, there's one large ingress egress point, right? When you come in, to the left is the pergola, to the right is the barn, and then there's another ingress and egress point as you on the easterly side of the pergola. Now, the way they're proposing this is there's just going to be one ingress and egress, which will be closer to the apartment building on the eastern easterly side. They're proposing that extra, which then gives them the ability to create three new on-street parking. And based on the conversation with the developer, they spoke to the engineer at Essex County to basically say, can they get this parking, to create this new parking? And they got that approval, and so it's closing of that entrance and creating three new parking spaces, which will be only dedicated for the commercial uses. None of the residential parking is within the site.
So there would be no overnight parking there
No,
because it's
absolutely.
Bloomfield Avenue? Okay. And just one other clarification. And again, I know what our master plan said about parking to reduce, to share, and it seems like this very much meets what we drafted into the master plan, but I do have I just want to ensure that we're going to be covered here, because it said it seems like whether it's a 1-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, it's 1.8 per unit. Is that correct?
Correct.
So a 3-bedroom still only requires 1.8 parking spots?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted clarity. Does anyone have anything on that? Or anything further?
Okay, just explain again, so who's going to be able to park on those 3 spots?
So the 3 spots that will be created, people who use the commercial can park. So those are the only people who can.
Customers.
Customers, that's correct.
Will they be metered?
I don't.
I don't understand what the difference is. I mean-
Because you can't park there overnight, so it's not a
You can't park
residential.
anywhere overnight.
On the street, that's correct. It's commercial parking. So in other words, if there's a store there, somebody buying something from the store, or if there's like a little cafe there, somebody could pull over and park and go in and eat. You
It's
don't
not
get
gonna
that?
be, it's not gonna be restricted to like what's to stop someone from parking
Right.
there and
No,
crossing the
it's
street and
gonna
going
be
somewhere else?
restricted.
It is? Okay.
That's something I got clarified.
So there's going to be a little sign that says parking only for
whatever
Joe's
business,
Coffee
for
Shop or whatever.
Hillcrest Farm or what have you. And that was what the county also said to the developer, and that was conveyed to me.
Yeah, is that a precedent we want to set?
Well, that would have to be ordained by the township council to allow that to occur. It's a county road, but it's our ordinances determine parking on the road, so I don't know if
But
that.
it would be commercial, only commercial.
But it's on a public highway. So-
What is your take on
Yeah, but
this,
the
Mr.
redevelopment
Massara?
plan's adopted by the
You're
council.
shaking no. Why?
I don't,
You've never seen this?
never, I mean, seen it, but just from a personal standpoint, I don't think it's fair to, other businesses across the street or whatever. The other thing is you need county approval. I know that we talked about county approval for the curb cut and creating those spots. And then lastly, it's the governing body's ultimate decision, because as the mayor said, the governing body has the control as vested by the county. Right. So that's a tough one.
May I elaborate further? I agree that one of the thoughts that, while writing this, I was thinking is, why would somebody get more preferential treatment compared to the other businesses? But the fundamental difference in this case is that they have an existing curb, right, which is not being used as a driveway, and they're creating new spaces that do not exist today, right? So that was that was the thought process behind it, and the county was in support of it. So that was also conveyed to us. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put this in the.
Are they cutting into the sidewalk area that was once utilized as sidewalk? Because the setback of the building is that much further back?
I don't believe so. It's on the right of way.
It's on Bloomfield Avenue, yeah?
That is correct,
Right.
yes.
I can't envision it.
But I actually sketched it out.
Okay.
But I didn't bring it in because I didn't think I would be asked this, and I would have been able to show you. I actually measured it because typically when we do this, right, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically when we do this, it's like whatever, it's 22 feet or 24 feet, and I actually measure to see, just because I don't want to blindly believe what I'm told, and it actually does create 3 new spaces.
So if somebody parks there, then it's up to the business owner to what? Inform the police department to come and ticket the person? Is that how?
I would imagine that's how, when you have seen these kind of signs, like you'll see it in homeowners, Jersey City, right? Which is saying that parking reserved for blah, blah, blah. So, at the owner's expense or something. So I would imagine that would be the sign. And again, this is a very good question to ask at site plan when you guys.
I could step in. I think my understanding of when the redevelopment plan was drafted was that the creation of those new spaces was going to be used to count towards their total parking provided and to supplement their on-site parking that's being provided, not necessarily to specifically designate those spots for those commercial uses. I think the idea of the creation of those spaces to help meet their parking need is probably a more agreeable approach than specifically designating them as use of spaces for those commercial restaurants. So I think, or the commercial spaces, but I think that's the approach. That was my understanding.
I'm okay with that.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I just found it, I needed it to.
Yeah.
No, I understand, yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
A lot of weeks.
Does anybody else have any further questions?
And just to understand those, what you're recommending, those would be permitted for the building residents or just more spaces that anybody?
Open parking.
Correct. Open parking for public use, not preferential for one business or another, but it would be presumably parking spaces that patrons of those businesses would have available to them and would most likely be the ones using them before other patrons of other businesses.
The parking on Bloomfield Avenue, that spot is underutilized along Bloomfield Avenue during peak hours. So, you're adding capacity because you're adding potentially like a restaurant or something like that. But other than that, really, that parking is more used in the evenings. During
48.
for either the funeral home or for visitors to the apartment buildings that are adjacent, but during peak hours.
Exactly.
I drive by there multiple times a day.
And just to add, the reason they're, Jesse, just so they have, along Bloomfield Avenue, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, they have 3 entrances. There's 3 driveways currently, and they're taking the 2 larger driveways out, and that's how they're being created.
Madam Chairwoman, I move to find this not inconsistent with the master plan.
Can I get a second?
Yeah, I'd like to second with, the recommendation that council considers adding the local housing credits and provisions for public and private bike storage.
So the maintenance of the 5 credits that are currently proposed in this, and it's actually, I'm not sure how clearly written that is, but I don't disagree
Okay.
with Mr. Hyman's asking for that to be kind of more concrete, and then the provision for bikes. And do you want a more solid confirmation on building materials for architectural purposes?
Yeah, I would recommend just incorporating some language into those figures, tying it into the language of the.
Sure. Happy to do that.
I have no problem amending the motion to include those recommendations.
Mr. O'Sullivan? would you
Just for clarification, I'm not sure if we should just make sure that the specific number matches the housing element.
But 5 credits.
It might not, I think there is,
We think there's more credits than that.
I'm fine mirror having language saying the minimum affordable housing credits to be provided shall be consistent with the credits projected in the housing, the approved housing. So
Right.
whatever we're relying on, we feel confident we're going to keep.
That's perfect.
Jason, do you mind repeating?
So the language in the plan should be amended to say that the minimum affordable housing credits provided by the developer shall be consistent with the approved housing element with respect to projected credits relied upon.
Right.
So I have 3, Madam Chair.
But it's 5 credits right
Right,
now.
no,
And did you just say that it's more than, you think it's more than 5?
More on our plan.
No, those
The
are
the
bonus.
verbiage is going to be what's on our plan.
What's on our plan? Right.
Yeah.
So the number is
What's
irrelevant.
within our plan?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it, minimum of
Right.
what's in our plan?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the bike says, as Jason had talked about earlier, electric and stuff, and then incorporate language into the figures. Obviously, I'll word that differently, but.
Right, no.
Okay.
Are there any other suggestions for the council's consideration? Okay, Mr. Mayor, do you want to remove it or move?
Remove it?
Or,
Sure, I amend the motion as discussed and read back by the
okay.
planning board attorney.
And seconded by Mr. Hyman. Can we get a voice? I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Lilly,
Yes.
Mr. Hyman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Township Manager
O'Sullivan,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fresky,
yes.
Chair Pearson.
Yes. The motion passes.
Madam Chair, because we have 35 days to report back to the council, I will draft a letter that sets forth the terms that we had, that were the terms of the motion, and then we can memorialize it by resolution next month. But
Well, I spoke, just so that you know, I spoke to our township clerk. For the purposes of the council, I was told that a memo from Dee Dee
Right.
would basically allow them to move
That's what I was
forward.
speaking, that's how we normally do it, past practice. I say a letter, but I draft it with Dee Dee, we send it to the council.
She could send it tomorrow.
Yeah,
So-
that's fine, that's what we
Right,
normally do.
and then you
Right.
can append that at, got it. You finished.
We don't have a meeting until November 10th anyway.
There you go.
You have plenty of time.
No, because Greg waits till November 9th.
No, that's not true. On something. No, but that's our past practices. A memo will go up, I say letter, but we'll draft it, and, that it's not inconsistent, and we're gonna have recommendations, and then we memorialize it by the resolution.
Okay, right,
That's great.
perfect.
And then I will be presenting on November 10th for the second reading.
Correct.
So is there an appropriate amount of time if, I was told if you were to just zip an email to the township clerk tomorrow morning, I'm just making sure that there
We
was.
have 35 days. We have 35 days to report back to the council.
Right,
on-
but they're hearing it, second reading on November 10th, which is not 35 days away.
No, we have 35 days from the time that they referred it to us, which they referred it to us last week sometime or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So we're good with all the time. We're good.
okay. It doesn't, okay. All righty.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The last matter on our agenda is a proposed change to zoning code 150-13.3B.
Did we skip,
Ms.
did we skip the meeting dates?
Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry. Does anybody, has everybody received the meeting dates? Okay. Somebody want to move that resolution? I'll move it.
Second.
Seconded by Jason. Mr. Heinman. All members to approve the meeting minutes? Aye.
Dates-
Okay,
dates.
Dee Dee, can you send that along with the memo tomorrow to,
Approve the dates, not the minutes.
yeah, I meant the dates. Sorry, I'm starting to lose it. Can you also forward that to
only
the
8:30.
clerk? I don't know. It doesn't have to, time does not determine these things.
Good night.
Right.
Good night. Thank you. And just let her know that those will be the meeting dates that she could publish for the board for 2026. Now, the last thing on the agenda is a proposed change to zoning code 150-13.3B. And Ms. Mish, zoning code official Mish, could you explain from whence this comes, whatever?
So currently, the way the code reads, if you have a house and it's got a pre-existing non-conforming setback, let's say you have to have 8 feet and you've got 6 feet, the way the code reads now, you can do an enlargement in addition to that house and stay along that violated setback as long as you don't go into the violated setback. What this change says is that if you're going to expand and enlarge, you have to go with what the current code is. So if you have a 6-foot setback for your house, if you're going to do an addition and it's 8 feet in the current code, the addition has to go into the 8 feet and not along the 6-foot line. Same thing for height.
And the practical application is somebody has a 6-foot setback, 8 feet is required, and they want to build a patio, and the patio will meet coverage. Technically, without this ordinance, they would need a variance because they're exacerbating a nonconformity, even though it's not the setback.
They're going to go over their own coverage?
No.
They're staying within.
They're staying within coverage, but they have a setback violation. So technically, because there is a violation, then the violation arguably could be exacerbated. But we're trying to avoid the practical effect. And Kathleen and I, for the record, we have a difference in the interpretation of how it's written. I certainly understand her interpretation, and I certainly believe that it could be written much more clearly. Because under Kathleen's interpretation,
Of the first one on the current?
yeah, the first one it's ambiguous. I mean, there's no question about it. It can be interpreted 2 ways. The intent is, and the way the second one is drafted, as I was saying, if you have a 6-foot setback on one side and you're applying for any other relief and you meet that requirement, the violative 6-foot setback is not a factor.
Right.
What Kathleen's interpretation and many people's interpretation of the way it's written now, someone could come in and get a variance for a 6-foot setback. And then, once they get their CO for that 6-foot setback, they could extend it all the way to the rear yard
As it sits.
without violating the rear yard setback. But as it's written,
Right.
and as I said, that's Kathleen's interpretation. I certainly agree it can be interpreted that way. I mean, so I think we're buttoning it up.
Any comments, any questions?
I just read, this has become a concern among neighbors, and it's becoming acutely more of a concern because there are a lot of non-conforming structures that are being expanded because we're having a pretty significant building boom here in Verona as people are buying property and improving it. And, residents have shared that they feel like some of these very large additions are very close to their homes and property lines. And they're like losing sun and stuff like that. So it's a good way of not only addressing the building, but also keeping good neighbors as well and avoiding conflicts among residents.
And again, I'm sorry. Again, I think that was the intent in the first iteration, but it obviously didn't take into consideration a variance being sought, received, and then doing something further afterwards.
Or
It
going
only,
up, right,
right,
going up or
right.
whatever, right.
Any other questions or comments? So what is it that we're supposed to do here? Make a recommendation for
Recommendation to the governing body,
to adopt
which Stevie can
the,
do by memo tomorrow morning. Make a recommendation to the governing body that the governing body amend that ordinance, and the governing body, after first reading, will send it to us for a consistency determination.
I mean,
Okay.
can we preempt?
We don't have the ordinance yet.
Okay,
And then presumably the governing body will pass the ordinance.
you know, it'd be great if that whole chapter came to us with all the updates so that we could go through it. And I know there's a few people at this table that have long lists of, inconsistencies and weird language and,
I still have my edits from the code that was ultimately passed, that the edits were never incorporated into the
so
zoning code.
there are a lot
So-
of problems
Right.
in the code as it is,
But
but,
why don't we
you
do
know.
one section in these,
Oh,
by
sure.
2094?
Okay.
That's what we call long-term planning.
So does anybody object to sending a recommendation to the council in memo format? Do we have to make a motion for that?
We should have a motion.
Okay.
Right.
I'll make a motion to ask the council to please adopt the new language into the zoning code as we find it consistent with the master plan. No, we're not allowed to say that.
No, we'll do that.
I second the motion.
And Mr. Fresky seconds. Do we take a, just roll call vote? Yes, please.
Mr. Lilly?
Yes.
Mr. Heinman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Township Manager O'Sullivan?
Yes.
Mayor Tamburro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fresky?
Yes.
And Chair Pearson?
Yes, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Greg has been sharing.
The way that